Europe's top clubs are discussing possible changes to the Champions League, but have played down talk of a breakaway Super League. This is from the European Clubs Association, ECA, who said it will work with UEFA on any improvements before 2018. European Clubs Association boss Karl-Heinz Rummenigge has suggested a tournament consisting of 20 teams from Italy, Spain, England, Germany and France. Currently 78 teams qualify from the 54 member leagues across Europe, and after preliminary qualifying rounds 32 entered the group stage. Following a meeting on Tuesday at that time, Rummenigge said that stagnation means regression, but promised to find a good and balanced solution. ECA Senior Vice Chairman Umberto Gandini said a review into the tournament's format would take 6 to 9 months and would look to make the competition more and more attractive. Gandini said there was not yet an understanding that the Champions League would have to change, but added, we will listen to the main actors of the competition and UEFA itself to find out what is best. It may just be a slight change to the access list. Keep that in mind. It may be many aspects of the competition that can be reviewed and adjusted. The ECA represents more than 200 clubs, including the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Manchester United and Chelsea. There have been suggestions that these clubs should get direct entry into Europe's elite club football tournament rather than through their domestic league position the previous season. Rummenigge, who is chief executive of Bayern Munich, told a German newspaper last month, January, a Super League outside of the Champions League is being born. It will either be led by UEFA or a separate entity because there is a limit to how much money can be made. That is a key thing. Changes to European club competitions can only be made after 3-year cycles, with the current one finishing after 2017-2018. Now, that's from the 9th of February 2016. 12th of February 2016, SPFL chief Neil Doncaster has attacked sinister plans by some of Europe's top clubs to change the format of the Champions League. Clubs in Europe's top leagues are said to be pushing for changes which would see them guarantee Champions League football regardless of league position. I think this is a very sinister development, Neil Doncaster told Radio 5 Live. For football fans around the world, we should be very concerned about this. Now, it's one of them ones, like I said a second ago, Real Madrid, Barca, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Man United, Chelsea, it's been suggested they should be guaranteed entry to the Champions League regardless of league position. This has led to fears that clubs outside Europe's top 5 leagues, such as Celtic, Porto and Ajax, will be left with little hope of qualification for Europe's Premier Club competition. What we're seeing now, though, quite worryingly, is that there are moves within the movers and shakers of European football to try and reshape the Champions League, potentially remove the Champions route and make it harder, perhaps impossible, for the champion clubs of smaller nations to participate in the Champions League, Doncaster explained. So, here's one of them ones. Now, that's an interesting one. What's important is that clubs are given the opportunity to have a go. In a one-off game, anything can happen. What's vital for the health of the European game is that we protect that Champions route. The big financial disparity is worrying, but we need to do what we can to redress that balance and to protect the big clubs in their own communities and try and limit the huge power of the very biggest clubs who seem to be dominating the agenda. Now, remember, Porto were the last team outside Europe's top 5 leagues to win the Champions League. Remember that. It was one of them. I think that was 03-04 to be exact. Now, in terms of making money, UEFA have increased Champions League final ticket prices by up to 14%. This is from March 1st, 2016. UEFA is increasing the price of the tickets for the final, and the first 6,000 tickets for the match at Milan San Siro on the 28th of May went on sale by lottery on Tuesday, 1st of March 2016. Now, UEFA said 30% of the seats were in the most expensive category and had increased by 13% from €390, £303.91 to €478, £342.87 from the final in Berlin last year. Category 2 tickets, which account for 26% of the sales, have risen by 14% from €280, £218.19 to €320, £249.36. However, UEFA has frozen the cost of the lowest ticket categories at €160, £124.68, 33% of seats, and €70, £54.55, which count for 11% of the seats. The remaining 25,000 tickets will be allocated to sponsors, corporate hospitality, broadcasters, UEFA guests, national associations, and local organisers. Now, moving on, Premier League clubs admit to meeting over changes to the Champions League. This from Wednesday, 2nd of March 2016. Starting to get to the tail end of this talk. It is one of them ones where, the Premier League so-called Big Five clubs have admitted meeting to debate changes to the Champions League amid fervent discussion across Europe about the future of the competition, which we mentioned had happened a month ago. But yeah, while denying reports of a breakaway European Super League or replacement for the Champions League, sources at Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal admitted debating the format. The admission is another indicator of the wide-ranging changes being discussed at all levels of the game in Europe as clubs jockey for position before an agreement on the format for the next 3-year TV contract cycle from 2018 and maximise revenues. One idea favoured by some European clubs would lead to a two-tier system that would guarantee entry to some of the biggest names in football while still allowing others to qualify. But despite Man United and Liverpool having missed out in recent years and Chelsea looking set to do so this season, they insist they recognise the race for the Champions League is intrinsic to the Premier League's appeal. Now that's kind of an interesting one in that. But yeah, it is one of them ones where some of those who qualify every season because of a lack of competitiveness in their domestic leagues, such as Bayern Munich and Barcelona, would also like to see more attractive matches against bigger name clubs in the group stages. After being photographed leaving a London hotel summit called by representatives of American billionaire Stephen Ross, the Miami Dolphins owner who developed the pre-season International Champions Cups, they were forced to deny plans for a breakaway. It is one of them ones where Arsenal was the only club to confirm their position in public, but sources at the other four clubs all took a similar line. We are strongly opposed to any breakaway. Not Arsenal, nor any clubs in the meeting are seeking changes to the Premier League and European landscape, and no conversation surrounding displacing the Premier League or starting the European Super League took place, said an Arsenal spokesman. Discussions were primarily around the International Champions Cup, ICC, and formats of European competitions that would complement the existing Premier League. Now it is one of them was Michael Moles on the 2nd of March said that for the likes of Rangers, Celtic, Ajax, Feyenoord, or PSV, that's the only way to get some big money if you get into the Champions League. The 45-year-old collected 6 trophies in 5 years with Rangers and was a Dutch Cup winner in his homeland with Feyenoord. But yeah, he has said that smaller clubs will suffer if leading clubs are given more leverage. He said the TV rights in Scotland and Holland compared with the English Premier League is like a dime. I see it as a big problem if it's more difficult for the Scottish clubs or the Dutch clubs to get into the Champions League. The gap between the top of Europe and the rest will only become bigger, especially now with the Premier League getting so much money. Now, a US sports executive, an American sports executive on the 4th of March 2016 who recently held talks with English Premier League clubs believes the Champions League would be worse off if teams like Leicester City compete in it. Relevant sports chairman Charlie Stilitano spoke with Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City and Man United in London last Tuesday about the pre-season International Champions Cup tournament and has confirmed they also discussed the restructuring of the Champions League. But The Guardian reports that Stilitano wants to see a closed-off competition comprising of only Europe's elite clubs and believes participating teams will become far richer if it were to happen. Yeah, it is one of them ones. Man United, Chelsea and Liverpool currently find themselves outside the qualification places for the Champions League, while Leicester and Tottenham are on course to participate instead. But Stiliano thinks competition is devalued by having smaller teams competing in it. He said, what would Manchester United argue? Did we create soccer or did Leicester create it? Let's call it the money pot created by soccer and the fandom around the world. Who has more of an integral role, Manchester United or Leicester? It's a wonderful, wonderful story, but you could see it from Man United's point of view too. Maybe that is absolutely spectacular unless you're a Man United fan, Liverpool fan or Chelsea fan. I guess they don't have the birthright to be in it every year, but it's the age-old argument, US sports franchises versus what they have in Europe. There are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful elements to relegation and promotion, and there are good arguments for a closed system. This is going to sound arrogant, but it's the furthest thing from it. But suddenly when you see the teams we have this summer in the ICC, are you going to shake your head and say, isn't that the Champions League? No, the Champions League is PSV and Ghent. I could make a lot more money, I can be a lot more visible, I can help my sponsors out, but right now I'm locked into doing certain things that are really historic. Oh my god. G-Man, please have at it with your views before I do, because I can feel my blood pressure going up again. And if the Skypers want to jump in, please feel free as well.
No, it's just that last view I'm going to touch on, because that is absolutely crazy what I'm hearing. Because at the end of the day, the Champions League, as it should really stand, should be a league of the champions of each, nation that's able to qualify for it. Personally, yeah, over the years it's increased in size due to financial reasons, and it's benefited a lot of teams. whereas in England we can potentially get 4 teams into the Champions League as long as the fourth team qualifies from the qualifying round, and that's quality, brilliant. But to say, lesser teams should be omitted from it, in my eyes, is absolutely disrespectful. Leicester City or any other team that wins the league has grinded all season to get in to win the league and earn their right to be up there alongside the champions, and that's it. Fact of him saying that, teams like Manchester United, Arsenal, and Chelsea should have a birthright to be not have a birthright to be in the Champions League, but they are prestigious clubs in such words, is ridiculous in itself. Isn't football about the competitive aspect? Isn't this the whole reason why we watch the game? Is because we want to see our team earn their right to win competitions, to be in the best competitions. That's all I've got to say.
I mean, I said, I don't know if any of the Skypers want to jump in as well, but you know what? See, this is the kind of idiotic good old boy network attitude that I hate about modern football. I'm just going to take the last couple lines. It's like, this is going to sound arrogant, and it's the furthest thing from it. No, it's not. No, it's not, Stilitano. No, it's not. It is arrogant, and it's not the furthest thing from it. But it carries on to say, but suddenly when you see the teams we have this summer in the ICC here, you're going to shake your head and say, isn't that the Champions League? The Champions League is PSV and Ghent. I could make a lot more money. I can be a lot more visible. I can help my sponsors out. But right now, I am locked into doing certain things that are really historic. Dude, this is not about you. Charlie Stilitano, this is not about you. This is about the future of football. I hate this goddamn attitude of selfish people not thinking about the bigger picture. It is an absolute disgrace that people like this can be involved in the game. Straight Shootin LJA to Charlie Stilitano, Charlie boy, you are a disgrace. You're the kind of person that just typifies everything I hate about modern football. That kind of attitude. I could be making more money. I could be more visible. No, it's not about you. It's about we. The Premier League is made up of 20 clubs, not 4, not 5. The Football League is made up of another 72 clubs, not 4, not 5 in the Premier League. Grassroots football. Look at the Southern Amateur League. We have a couple hundred clubs. We don't prioritize 5 clubs, you idiot. If you prioritize 5 clubs, good luck creating a closed tournament and making money out of it. You might make money for a couple of years, but then people will get bored of seeing the same matches all the time. Have you ever thought of that, Charlie Stilitano? Have you ever thought of that? No, a big shout out, by the way, to @carbon_Robert, who said it's a terrible idea and will kill off every other club. And that's in regards to what are your thoughts on a potential European Super League. Would a Super League be good for football? I agree. It would kill off every other club apart from the big 5s. Apart from the good old boys who are already raking in billions between them. And they're racking up billions of pounds of debt too. It's one of them. The fact of the matter is, no, you don't close it off. If Leicester get into the Champions League by being champions, they've earned it. They deserve it. And they should be in the Champions League. Mate, bun this Charlie Stilitano guy going, it's going to be devalued with teams like Leicester in it. Shut up. How can you devalue a competition by letting legitimate champions into it? Devaluing a competition is when you've got 5-6 teams from one country in it. Because then you can't call it a Champions League when only a quarter of the teams in this 32-team tournament are actually champions. Have you ever thought of that, Charlie Stilitano? Have you ever thought of that? You're talking about a big 5 in a Champions League. Bridget, that doesn't even make sense. 5 into 1 doesn't go. You're supposed to be some super rich businessman. You should realize 5 into 1 doesn't go. 5 teams can't occupy one spot at the same time, idiot. I'm sorry. It's one of them ones. If anyone's offended by me calling Charlie Stilitano an idiot and a disgrace, firstly, I would like to say, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I'm not going to say I'm sorry for it. But to Charlie Stilitano and to anyone offended by what I'm saying, I say to you this:
if I want any crap out of you, I'll pick it out of your teeth.
Because I say that to Charlie Stilitano. If I want to crap out of you, I pick it out of your teeth, you J bro. This is the attitude that really ticks me off about modern football. A closed off competition comprising of only Europe's elite. No. There ain't even no argument about it. No. The gap between the haves and have-nots. Part of the reason why the Leicester story is so amazing is because they've legitimately done it on the shoestring with players you would never associate with a title-winning team. Robert Huth might be an exception, but that's the beauty of it. If you make a closed-off Champions League, that ain't never going to happen, and you will lose that excitement. It's like saying the FA Cup should only be contested between Premier League teams. It's about as absurd as that. It would be as absurd as saying that. It's absurd as saying, yeah, let's get rid of FA Cup replays. And the idiots behind that. Yeah, let's get rid of FA Cup replays. Have you thought about the real ramifications that would have for clubs lower down the ladder? See, this is the kind of attitude that I think permeates a lot of people at the top of the game. Sitting on top of Mount Olympus, making all the decisions, looking down at everyone else. It's like, no, let's keep the good old boy networks together. No, let's take a sledgehammer to them good old boy networks. Let's take a sledgehammer to Charlie Stilitano's legs and see how he feels too. I'm not encouraging that, but still, it's one of them ones. You want to talk about making money? UEFA have increased Champions League final ticket prices by up to 14%. So why do you need to close off the league to make money when you're already making billions off it? Why do you need to do that? I could be making more money. Shut up. You don't need to make any more money. Mate, one league is making £5.136 billion between 20 teams. One league is making that between 20 teams. And that's not getting spread around. It's just annoying. And I said the fact that the European Clubs Association, their boss Karl-Heinz Rummenigge is coming out with a Super League outside of the Champions League is being born just because there is a limit to how much money can be made. Virgin, this should not be about money. This should be about the continued future of the game of football. That's what it should be about. Clubs like it should be about clubs like say Hull City, Bournemouth, Southend, Leeds, Watford, Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, Alexandra Park FC, Ibis Eagles, Old Wilsonians, Aline Old Boys, Old Meadonians. It should be about everybody. I've just named teams there from League One, League Two, the Premier League and the Southern Amateur League. And also the amateur football combination with Old Meadonians. That's what you should be looking at. It's one of them ones. I mean, it's one of them. It's scary to think that these are the kind of people running the game and influencing the game. At the moment, the Champions League does not need it. The only thing you would need in the Champions League is a change of name, not closing it off and making it even more of a good old boy network. We really don't need that. And guaranteeing teams entry to the Champions League no matter where they place. That's just stupid. That is really stupid as an idea. It really is. If you ain't good enough to place in the top 4 or 5 of your league, you ain't good enough to be in the Champions League. You really ain't. You just are not. It's a done deal. Shouldn't even be an argument. If you ain't good enough, you know the prerequisite in terms of places. If you ain't good enough to place in that, you shouldn't get a place. The only real dispensation that ever really even should be given is for reigning champions, and even that And even that is a bit skewed in itself. And even that I don't 100%.